I'm back. Here, let me turn this off so you guys can hear me. Oh man, it's hot out here. Anyway, I've got the new inner tubes, so which means we got to take off the tires. Now, before you do that, you want to open up the brakes so that they're wide enough to go around the tire, and you do that with this little guy right here. Now, I'm hoping that as I'm moving that, you guys are seeing the brakes open. That ought about do it. There you go. And that's also how you adjust the tightness of your brakes there. If you find your brake pads here ain't catching when you're hitting the brakes, you tighten it by making this go up, and you loosen it by making it go down. Now, for taking the tire all the way off, we've gone all the way down. Same thing on the front tire. It's probably already good enough. But anyway, I'm going to need both hands to take off the tire there. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Basically, to take off the tire, I'm going to do the front first because it's the easiest. Just take these right here off. Real easy. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Alright, there's the front tire. Got her out there. We're going to change the inner tube, but while I've got this off, remember how the mud flap here was all loose? Well, I found why. There's a bolt right there. I imagine once I tighten that up, it'll be right as rain. Looks like there might even be a second bolt hole right there. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'll be right back. When you buy a new inner tube these days, it comes with these little tools here. I'm going to show you how to use them. What these tools is for getting the rubber off the rim. Now you'll see that it's got a hook, right? Take it, stick it in the side of the tire, like that. Turn it. Hard to do one-handed. Turn it so that it grabs underneath the tire and pop it out. Now you're going to take this and you're going to go around the whole outside edge and pop over that lip. Now I can't do that one-handed, so I'm going to stop it. Alright, I'm into the home stretch here. I've used the hook tools. They send 2 of them, by the way, to pop it up over the lip there, and then I'm just going to run my little piggies, see if I can get an angle where you can see what I'm doing here, up between the rim and the rubber part of the tire, and then as I'm going around, that's taking that rubber, that tire part, and putting it on the outside of the rim. Alright, just like that. So I've got one side of it undone. You can see the inner tubes inside there. And pretty much you just do the exact same thing. Now what you're going to do is you're going to use this tool that came with the new inner tube. You're going to wedge it up under there like that. You're going to push it where it comes through the other side like that. And you're just going to pop it. Now I'm seeing something in here that I want to talk to you about. These right here, that's the end of the spoke right there. Now there's a layer of rubber which I gathered up, it's right there, that I shouldn't have. But that's an easy fix. There you go, just move the tool a little bit. You want this layer of rubber to stay down on top of them ends of the spoke there. Now again, this is something that I can't do one-handed, so I'm going to stop right here. But basically I've used that tool to flip both layers of the rubber and the inner tube, it's in there too, onto the outside of the rim. And then from here you just use your hands to peel it the rest of the way. I'll be right back. And there you have it. Right there's the old tire off. Old inner tube just kind of laying there. Now I mentioned that I caught up the inner lining there and it broke. You can actually fix that with electrical tape. What you're going to do is you're going to gather the ends as close as you can. So I don't have that far to go. And you're just going to electrical tape from here to there. Now that's pretty thick stuff you want to put on a good layer. They actually sell this liner if you're a wealthy man and you want to buy some. But I don't need it. I'm just going to do it with the electrical tape there. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm doing the last of the electrical tape there right now. I'll put in 6 layers. I find that that's usually sufficient. Now what you want to do is you want to take your finger over it and make sure you ain't got no bubbles. And that's really good. Now something that you want to be careful of, just like in a car tire, there's a lip here that the rubber from the wheel sits into, goes all the way around. You want to make sure you don't get any in that. And if you do, you'll need to cut it out. And it looks pretty good. I didn't get any in there. Alright, so now we're ready to put the new inner tube in. Same way the old one came out, I'll show you. Of course, it's in a package here. It's in a package. Alright, you want to start with the valve right there. Right there is where it goes. You just want to put that in. Just like that. Might have to wiggle it. It's definitely a two-hand job there. I'll do my best to show you, but I'm going to put the rubber tire back on. You want to tuck the inner tube up into the outer tire. What I find helps is to turn it sideways like this. It goes in a lot better. I'm going to do that real quick. I'll be right back. I've got the new tube in. I've got it aired up. And what you do now is you go around the rim. And remember I told you that there was a little ridge or rim that the tire had to sit in just like a car tire. You want to go around and make sure you've got it without any sticking out. That side of the tire is good. So far so good. Alright, this tire's done. I'll show you how to put it back on, but I'm going to fix that mud flap fender thingy real quick. I'm all done with the front. It's back on. Got the brakes back where they should be. Now the back tire is a whole different kettle of fish here. Because this is where your derailleur attaches to, you see. Now I've already started loosening the screw, but it's real important to remember how things went on. So, bolt first, obviously. And what I'm doing is I'm putting them on the table in the order that I'm taking them off in. Now for the spoiler here, alright, now when you take the tire out, this piece right here may move. So what I like to do is I like to put a bolt right here so that this derailleur mechanism stays put. Now I'm going to go ahead and find a nut and bolt for that. I'll be right back. Alright, now when you're undoing the derailleur, you got to take the chain off. It goes in an S, and you got to unhook it from back here. But for just taking off the tire to replace the tube, you don't need to undo this part of it. You can leave that. So you just take it off from down here. And how you do that is you pull that forward, and you see how loose that makes that chain? That makes it real easy to pull that chain off. Now what I do is once I get the chain off, I wrap it right here just to keep it where I know where it's at. And now you can take off the back tire. Okay, we got lucky on this one. The rubber is intact all the way around. Now while I've had it off, I've gone ahead and I've taken the liberty of tightening up the spokes. You can do that a couple different ways. You can use just a basic pair of needle nose pliers. And remember, you know, lefty, loosey, righty, tighty, and just grab it right here and tighten it, and you'll feel them get tight. You know, those are all nice and tight. Most bicycle toolkits, like this one here, come with a tool specifically for tightening the spokes, which is this little notch off to the side. Right there. And how it works, let's see if I can do this and hold the phone. Works just like that. It'll grab a hold, and then you turn it to tighten it. I've gone ahead and I've done that to this tire all the way around. I'm gonna get the old tube out of that, put the new tube in it, and put it back on. I'll try to do that one-handed. Getting the tube out's no problem. Grab it by the stem and just bolt. Now this is the one that wouldn't hold any air at all, where the other one just had the real slow leak. So I imagine that this is now not patchable. So I'm just going to throw that one away. And there's the new one. Another way to do it, besides wrapping the inner tube around the tire first, around the rim first, and then putting the tire on, is to actually tuck in the tube and then put it on as one piece. Either way works. This way, there's a very small potential of accidentally poking a hole in your brand new inner tube, which is why I don't use it very often. But it is easier to do one-handed for recording. So anyway, you're going to tuck it in just like that, all the way around, and then you're going to put the whole thing back on the tire all at once. I'll try to show you how to do that. Okay, you put the valve stem in first and put the cap on it, that way you don't accidentally pull it through, and then basically you squeeze both sides of the tire and push down. Now there's going to be a point where you can't do it this way anymore, and then you have to go back to tools. Make sure you keep that tucked underneath. And it's when you're using the tools that you stand the chance of accidentally poking a hole in your new inner tube. And that's about as far as I'm going to be able to get it by hand. I do need 2 hands for this part, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the tools that came with the new inner tube, and you're going to hook. Let's see if I can get there. There you go. You're going to use that hook piece right there on the rim, and you're going to pry it upwards like this. Now you're going to do that all the way around, and it's going to get harder as you go. I definitely need 2 hands for this, so I'm going to stop the camera here. Alright, I've got the tube in and aired up. Good news, I didn't puncture a hole in it putting it in. Now I'm just going to go around the rim and make sure I don't have any bulges or any places where it's not sticking out. Like I said before, it's kind of like a car tire. There's a little lip inside the rim that you have to match up to a corresponding lip on the tire. And that side's good. So far, so good. Alright, ready for the next step, which is to put it back on. I'm going to put the phone down for a second and I'll be right back. Alright, I've got it back in, and I'm going to put the chain back the exact same way I took it off. I'm going to relieve the tension up here. And just basically let go of it. And it'll go right back into the gear where it was before. Like I said, there's no need to take the chain off of these two unless you want to. And then you put it back together the exact same way it came apart. This was first. Then the piece for the fender. Then this washer. And that bolt. Now I'm not going to tighten everything down until I'm sure it's straight, and then we're going to put the back side back together the exact same way. This was first. Then the piece for the fender. Then the washer. Then the nut. Which is not cooperating with me for some reason. There we go. Now you want to make sure it goes in between the brakes, which if you loosened them like I mentioned before, it'll pop right in. And it did. So we're okay there. Give her a real quick spin. Okay, ready to go. And then you basically just tighten up the bolts. I'm going to put the phone down. I'm sure you understand by now, righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. You don't need to watch me do that. Alright, it's back on. Got a brake rubbing. There we go. When we flip it back over, I'll show you how to adjust the brakes. While I've got it upside down, I'm going to check the gears. Now on this particular one, the gears are in a peculiar spot. They're down on the lower tube. This does the back gear. See if you guys can see it moving there. Okay, now that should be the furthest out gear, and it is. And then as I move this lever up, it should switch gears, and it did. Cool. might not have to adjust these. Okay, and it went to all 5 gears. So the back ones are good. I don't need to adjust them, but I'm going to show you what to do just in case. There are 2 screws. Let me find them. Right there. Get my finger on them. These 2 screws here. One screw pushes this mechanism that way, which you would want to adjust that if it doesn't find the 5th gear, which it did, so I don't need to do it. The bottom screw pulls it the opposite way, which you would use it if it wasn't finding the furthest out gear, but it did, so I don't need to do any of that, but that's how you do it. Now what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to show you the basic on that. Let me get you a Phillips screwdriver in there. And then, oh no, that's too big. Let me get a smaller screwdriver. Now those are the kind of screws that you can use both a Phillips and a flat on. And then you would just back it out or push it in. Now since I didn't actually need to adjust it, I'm going to put it right back where it was, which should have been right about there. Now we're going to check the front one. Looks the same. Its lever's on the other side. Now currently it is on the smaller of the 2. Now if I pull that switch, of course this is easier if it's moving, but you'll see this mechanism right here moving. So this one's probably good too. But if I set it right there and I pedal it a little bit, it should go to the bigger gear. And it did. So I am getting off lucky with doing the gears. So this bike should be rideable. Now of course I haven't gone through the steps of making it pretty and getting rid of the rust and everything. We'll save that for another video for another time. But while I'm in this position right here, I'm going to check the bike chain. Now it's flowing pretty good, as you can see. Get that up and moving. I didn't see any kinks. The lubrication is still very greasy. That's good. If you found, kinks in the chain, you would want to take it off and fix it, or simply replace it. Now, like I said, I'm going to flip the bike over and I'm going to show you how to do the final adjustment on the brakes. Hang on just a moment while I do that.